You guys, I have been talking like I was live this entire time. I am so sorry. I'm using a new streaming service because I'm going to be doing all these live interviews. So I literally thought I was already live. I've been talking for probably 15 minutes and I was looking through the comments and saw Karma's comment that said she was going to catch me another time. I thought, what's happening? What's wrong? I am so sorry. I thought I was in live this whole entire time, guys. I am so sorry. I apologize. It's because of the streaming service. I thought I was already live and I wasn't. So I apologize. I'm going to start over. Karma, I'm so sorry. Hi, JoJo. I thought that we were all talking, but we weren't. So today we're going to be talking Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Just like I said, using a new streaming service because I'm going to be getting live interviews and different people coming on to talk housewives for you guys. So make sure you turn the notifications on. I'm going to get right into this, guys, because I thought I've been live this entire time. Okay, guys, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We are, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about buying Beverly Hills. It was released on Netflix and we're getting a lot of different views. Some people loving it, some people hating it, some people really taking how they're perceiving Mauricio. We're seeing a lot more of him than we've ever seen on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. A lot of people on Twitter. And then we're going to bounce over to the Real Housewives of Potomac and we're going to talk a little bit about Michael, Darby, Ashley, Candace, Giselle, the whole mess they have over there in the DC, okay? And of course, Mia and her PUSSY poppy and handstands. All right, guys. Oh, and New Jersey. We have to talk about New Jersey. You guys know it's one of my favorite franchises, and we're getting some word that we actually might be seeing Real Housewives in New Jersey earlier than anticipated. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and talk Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We do hear that they're on a pause or a break or a breather, but production is going to start back up after the holidays. Allegedly, they took a large time, a couple of weeks in between holidays when they were filming anyway, so it's not going to put production that much further behind if they don't start till January. And hopefully that will give producers and executives enough time to figure out where they want to move the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and what direction. We're hearing all sorts of rumors, even that Lisa Vanderpump could be making a return. I want to know what you guys think about Lisa Vanderpump returning. I've seen a lot of comments of people really, really wanting to see her on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So if you are one of those people or you're not, just comment respectfully, of course, and let us know how you feel. Again, we're seeing a lot more of Mauricio. We're seeing Farrah. We're seeing a couple other of Kyle and Mauricio's daughters on this Buying Beverly Hills series. The girls sound exactly like Kyle. It's kind of scary, okay? It's a little scary how much they sound like Kyle and how they talk and their mannerisms. I mean, it's like they're twins, truly. People really tearing Mauricio Umansky apart for the fact that we haven't heard him any sort of credit back to Rick Hilton and Hilton Highland and his roots and where he started and the people that helped show him the ropes and help navigate him in the real estate industry. So a lot of people have picked up on that. A lot of people picking up on, they feel like there's a lot of, the Kyle and Mauricio are rich and they've sort of taken their daughters under their wings, come be, run this agency and we're going to introduce you. You're going to have all the right connections. And it just really helps make things easier for people, especially when you're just starting out. A lot of comments about the fact that the agency would be passed on to the Umansky daughters, and even talks about Portia doing real estate when she gets older. So a little bit strange. If you ask me, even people talking about the fact that like Farrah might need to break away because she's not actually a Romansky. Hey guys, anyone? Hey Alan, hey Jojo. Thank you, Jojo, for hanging out. I'm so sorry I saw the comments. Doing live streaming, like I said, from a different outlet. So because I'm going to be having some great interviews for you guys. So Beverly Hills, again, they're going to be on sort of a breather, not necessarily a pause. They're going to start production back up in January and see what area they really want to move the show in. So due to that and the fact that everyone wants to see Teresa's wedding, Teresa and Louis, we're going to get New Jersey early this year. It's kind of like a Bravo Christmas present to all the New Jersey fans. Typically, we don't see New Jersey till like February 1st, first week of February. But moving Beverly Hills, they need to kind of bring something in. Potomac is starting to warm up. Salt Lake City, people are like, they're not digging it. Whitney is getting hit big time on Twitter with comments calling her annoying, like just kind of mean comments that I think are starting to get to her about Justin's job and him losing it. Just a lot of, yeah, touchy, sketchy stuff. Anyways, I think producers want to keep, they're hot right now. Bravo's hot right now. The Hiltons, Beverly Hills, they want to keep that going. They want to keep the momentum going. So they're going to come in with New Jersey, get that season going, because people want to see Teresa's wedding as well. And they're not going to air the 3-part series until after they complete the season, because obviously that's how the timeline goes. They can't really film the wedding in the middle of the season. That wouldn't make any sense. So we can't see the 3-part wedding series until we see the actual season. So that's going to be great for us, guys. Still hearing same rumors about the Gorgas and Teresa and Louis, except we are starting to see a lot of press in Teresa's favor. We heard Carlos King come out and say 100% that Teresa knew a week before the Gorgas came on. She was not privy to that information ahead of time. We heard another producer come out and say the same exact thing. So Teresa's getting a lot of vindication here, guys. We also heard another rumor about Louis and BravoCon, and he allegedly was just going up to speak to the Gorgas and say hello because he wanted to show his son like what a proper man should do if he sees his brother-in-law in the same room. And even though they wanted to fist fight a month ago, they're going to go shake hands. And that allegedly was a start to the incident with Jennifer in the lobby and the Gorgas. Moving on. Yes, Dolores and Margaret headed out to Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip 3. Please let me know what your thoughts are. A lot of people already kind of saying the cast for this is very, very boring. Okay. I don't think I would have picked, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about Dolores and Margaret as a pair for the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip to represent New Jersey. If not them, who? And also, wanted to say I heard that Dolores has moved in with her boo thing. Just saying. Also, love Gabriella on Instagram posted something about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm going to read it for you. Production has surely favored Margaret over the years and has done her plenty of favors in the editing room. Let's just say that what we see is not always what we really get. It's unfortunate that the viewers are fooled by the editing and the facades. One thing that is for sure is that Margaret did, in fact, spread and start the rumor of Jackie and Evan's relationship troubles. In addition to that, it is true that Margaret went out of her way to communicate and investigate with people from both Louis and Bill's past prior to last season. Her hands aren't as clean as they seem. We know that Margaret has this friend that allegedly was supposed to come on the show and she didn't make it. She did several interviews with producers and she allegedly didn't make it. Let's read a comment. I'm not the biggest fan of Jen on New Jersey, but I think she would be a lot of fun on a girls' trip if we got a fun, laid-back version of her. I don't want the fighting version of her. LOL. That's a good. Jennifer would be good if she could be laid back and relaxed on a trip, and I think she could do that. I think she's gonna have to because I think the drink at BravoCon is gonna get her into trouble. That's just my opinion. Also wanted to talk about Teresa, again, looking great because she did a dinner with Louis's mother, which would be Louis, the husband's ex-wife. So it was his son's birthday. And Teresa said that she was so appreciative of Louis, her husband, reaching out to Joe Giudice when they were in the Bahamas and they all had dinner together with the children. She appreciated it so much that she wanted to do the same thing with Louis's ex and Louis Jr.'s mother. And so they had her over for dinner. And Louis Jr. was on Instagram and he really wrote up something beautiful, talking about what a great stepmother Teresa has been to him. If we bounce back to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, it's pretty much going to corroborate what I've been saying. And this is from US Weekly. Cast shakeups. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Preparations for season of 13 of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is underway. And the ensemble could look a little different going forward. Diana Jenkins, Crystal, are both on the chopping block. I mean, I don't even think they're on the chopping block. I think they're gone. I definitely think Diana's not coming back. Producers also are torn between Lisa Rinna and Kathy Hilton. Kathy Hilton is 63 years old, P.S. And Lisa Rinna is 59. And it's funny because does it seem like there's only 4 years between the two of them? Like even social media, Kathy has a little bit of a hard time keeping up. She's doxed herself several times. She's put her phone number in comments. I don't know, guys. It's a little like, can you believe that that Lisa Rinna and Kathy Hilton are only 4 years apart? I don't know. That just kind of blows my mind a little bit. And then Erica's coming in at 51 years old, talking about her roster. My Lord. Okay. Anyway, so they're stuck between Lisa and Kathy. And then they're leaning towards bringing Kathy back again as a friend of, because she is a fan favorite. But they're conflicted because Lisa is the show's antagonist, and that is a critical role, says the insider. Quote, they're also taking the fan backlash surrounding Lisa into consideration. While viewers will likely be saying goodbye to some players, the insider says Dorit Kemsley, 46, might be demoted to a friend. This series could be gaining a few familiar faces. They have also been in talks to bringing back Brandi Glanville and Lisa Vanderpump. And this was posted by the Queens of Bravo. Alan said, Kathy acts like she's my great-great-great-grandma. She does. She does. That's why it's like funny to me that there's only 4 years between them, because in my head, I'm thinking that Kathy is very beautiful and she looks and she's youthful, but at the same time, like her concept of like cellular devices and the internet and social media is not anywhere up to, how Lisa and Kyle are on social media. So it's a little interesting to think that there's only 4 years between the two of them. Lisa probably made a deal with the devil to keep her looks. Oh, probably. Jojo said, if Lisa loses her job, her face will deflate. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny today. I did a panel on the real Andy, Beverly Hills. Hold on, Alan, regardless of anyone's opinion of Lisa, she's great for TV, way better than Kathy. People only like Kathy because of her last name. She's not interesting at all. I think she's just old Hollywood. She knows where the bodies are buried. She knows everyone. And I think people are attracted to like the old Hollywood style. And I think Dorit really thought that's what she was serving us all these years, but she surely has not. It's so funny. PK posted actually some photos from their very first interview when the cameras came to do like a test run with them. Dorit looks completely different, but much more like the Dorit that I tell you guys was in that episode of The Apprentice when she was pregnant with Jagger. He commented she had just given birth to Phoenix, but she definitely looks a lot different than she does now. Just saying. Also, Dorit has been on Instagram. She posted a kid-friendly photo entourage for Halloween, and her sister was in the photo. She said that she was so thankful that her sister had moved closer, and we did not see PK anywhere in the photo, which is very strange because in all of her other Halloween photos, they're always like one family all dressed in whatever theme it is, but he's always in the photos. So that's very strange. Yesterday I talked about Boy George and how Dorit and PK allegedly have kind of used Boy George as a little bit of a brokering tool because the network really likes him because he's on The Voice and they want people to perceive him a certain way. And other people are saying that the cast themselves are uncomfortable allegedly with Boy George and with filming with him. And that would make sense, guys, why normally if we do see Boy George, when we've seen him in a casual way, it's always been at Dory and PK's home. Anytime that we see him with the ladies, it's typically just because he's performing. Miss Lady says Thanksgiving is going to be a little awkward at the Harry Hamlin house. Yeah, I'm sure Thanksgiving is probably actually uncomfortable as it is. My goodness. Oh, from when we were talking about New Jersey, I also wanted to say this was what is bringing up all the troubles for Margaret. It's especially the fact that Margaret's ex-childhood friend is being brought up a lot this season, and she will do anything to deflect from it. I've spoken to the childhood friend of hers and can confirm that she has a lot in her arsenal of information that Marge definitely will not want out there. Production has surely favored Margaret. That was the beginning of the blind item that I wanted to read to you guys about producers and Margaret. I think anyone's lifelong best friend would have a lot of dirt on them, right? I mean, anyone's best friend, lifelong best friend, is going to have dirt on them. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that production probably has favored Margaret. I'm sure that they have at times. Margaret is one of those people, she has that hustling personality. Like, she wants people to like her and be on her side and making moves behind the scenes. And she's not afraid to probably like kiss ass to do it. And that's how you have to probably do it. That's why Kyle was always so great with production, because Kyle knows how to, brown nose. She's good at it. And I feel like Margaret would be good at it too. I'm just saying. But Margaret does have issues. She does have lawsuits. She does have business partners that came forward that are suing her and Joe and saying that they came to them and said, hey, let's invest in this house. We're going to flip it. We're going to make money. It's going to be a short project, yada, yada, yada. And now Joe and Margaret are living there and they're calling it their house. And the business partners who invested like $70,000 are like, wait, what do you mean? We were supposed to flip this house. So a little bit crazy. Also hearing that we know that Heather Dubrow and Terry sold their home for $55 million in Orange County, and they have since bought a LA penthouse for like $7 million, I think. A lot of people saying they don't understand this move, but it makes sense for Heather, because if they do divorce, it's going to be a lot easier that they have that $55 million mansion off the market, because it just looked like they were selling just because they wanted to sell and build another house, and they've done this so many times. Had they been in the middle of a divorce trying to sell the home and then splitting it up, they probably wouldn't even have got what they wanted from it. So I think that this is their move. They're selling their house. They're going to do a lot of this behind the scenes because they've been together for a very, very, very long time. And Heather, of course, is going to get hers. She probably said, buy me that penthouse downtown LA first and foremost. And I just don't know if they're going to stay together. I know that people don't believe that, but I think if she goes on Beverly Hills, I don't know if her and Terry will stay together. Catherine says Margaret knows stuff about Melissa, and I heard Margaret shared that info with her former friend. Jojo says that's crazy, all that money. Catherine, yes, that is also, of course, going down. Allegedly, Margaret did share this allegation that someone had shared with Margaret. Now, this person was Melissa's publicist. Melissa has a publicist. Melissa's publicist friend is the gentleman that allegedly Melissa was, boinking. Now, Kim D made a really great point for everyone that was like, oh, Melissa Wendell's on. Well, here's the thing. Do you guys remember when Teresa was dating that young little thing that she was running around town with and holding hands with? He was only like 27 years old, and Joe Giudice was in ICE. at the time, or like being deported. Yeah, Teresa had a young little thing on her arm, little 27-year-old, and Kim D, she spills the tea on that behind the velvet rope sometimes. She said that she knows the guy's mom, and the boy was like starting, not the boy, the man, he was starting to have feelings, yada yada yada. Anyways, the point kind of was that Melissa and Teresa have always been in competition all these years. So if Teresa has it, Melissa wants it too. And this Nick Barraro or whatever, he is young. He's a young thing. He's a young little thing. He's very handsome. Yes, he's very handsome, and he's very married. Allegedly, how did that go? The publicist opened the car door to Melissa and Nick fondling, fornicating, whatever you will. And they hurried up and closed the door, and then allegedly reached out to Margaret and Lexi and was like, what do I do? Because allegedly Margaret has a screenshot. Margaret has some sort of a screenshot that she has kept for her protection. And allegedly it was like a group conversation between Lexi, Margaret, and Melissa. And it said something like, what are we going to do? La, 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 la. And Lexi said something like, well, duh, we got to lie. And Melissa's response was, yeah, no shit. Something like that. So allegedly there's proof of this, right? And so that alone is pretty juicy, okay? If you guys have time, go on Instagram, check out the man's Instagram page, okay? You're going to be like, oh man, that's a little crazy if Melissa was, because listen, Joe Gorga, they all hung out all the time, right? Because of the publicist and the publicist's friend. And again, David behind the velvet rope told us that a long, long time ago. He said when he would be downtown New York City, he would see Margaret out with her publicist and the friend of, and Nick. And allegedly, Kim D said that Nick would be around all the time, and that Joe would call, and he would be the hair people, the nail people, the clothes people were always instructed to say that he wasn't around. If Joe Gorga happened to call, happened to ask, happened to text anyone and ask if Nick was around, they were always instructed to say no. That's alleged, I'm just saying. Now, this takes us into, that alone, like I said, I just don't think that Joe Gorga could be in a good place mentally if he believes anything of what Margaret and this whole rumor with Melissa. If he believes any of it, he's gonna go crazy in his head. He's not, I don't know. All these rumors are gonna come out of New Jersey, and I've already told you guys my prediction. I'm telling you, she's gonna leave him. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say, I don't think, I would hate to see their family break up, but if what we have talked about, just us guys. No, there's other outlets, of course, that know about the dad's house and such. If that comes out, if another rumor that's been circulating for years in Reddit, people in the New Jersey area well aware of it, if that comes out, I think Melissa will 1,000% cut him off. She'll stay on the Real Housewives of New Jersey for another year or two, or they'll film the divorce. They'll, film both sides. That way Joe keeps a paycheck too, and he can continue to pay child support to Melissa. But I just think that this is not going to be a good season for New Jersey. This is definitely some growing pains, because after this season, they're probably going to have to make some decisions on who's going to stay and who is going to go. Hey, maybe after 12 years, Melissa finally has a juicy storyline. Her hot would-be boy toy. Oh my goodness, that's funny, Miss Lady. So happy to catch a live. Hey, so happy you could catch a live too. Jojo says that Nick is her cousin. And remember, she said it was her cousin. And I do, Jojo, I do remember that, because, Jojo, thank you for saying that. There was a photo of Melissa and Nick, and he was standing behind her, and it said something like, only Joe Gorga and I can kiss her, or something like that. Jojo, do you remember what I'm talking about? It was a Snapchat is what it was. And someone that follows Nick must have saw the Snapchat and screenshot it, and it made its way to Instagram, because I definitely saw it, and I think I have a copy of it. And I think that I even posted it on the community on YouTube. on the community section. And that was potentially what started this. And yes, they did try to tell us that that was her cousin. I think that, I don't know. I think the one sister is married to someone and her married last name is similar to Nick's last name. Or he potentially could be a cousin on, like, he's a cousin of Melissa's sister, has a husband, and it's a cousin on his side. That's possible too. But yeah, so New Jersey it's going to be a very, very, very wild season with everything that's going down. Another thing to think about, guys, is I mentioned Dorito. She has her sister showing up in her Instagram. Somebody mentioned possibly she's going to try to use that as a bargaining tool for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Again, I don't think Dorit's going to have a place, not a full-time place, that is, unless if her and PK head to divorce court. I don't see anything else really bringing their storyline alive enough to keep her full-time. Really want to know what you guys think in the comments about Dorito. Definitely want to know what you guys think about that, because it's just very, I don't know, it's all just very strange. Also want to tell you guys, again, back to the Beverly Hills. I know we're bouncing around a lot today. There were so many different things I wanted to talk about, but the buying Beverly Hills, I also saw PK. He made an announcement saying, oh, to my brother Mauricio Yermansky and his new show on Buying Beverly Hills, congratulations, brother. And of course, Mauricio was like, thank you, brother. And Kyle was like, thank you, brother. Like, now y'all know, we all know that they were supposed to do a show about real estate together. Mauricio and PK were. And originally it was going to be like London based, because Freddie, if you guys know, the reality diamond, he had information about what was going on around there. There was even auditions and such. So they were in a business plan partnership to do a reality show based around a real estate business. And they were as far as auditioning for people in London for the show. And then we hear nothing about it. And now Mauricio has his own show. And I think this is where there's a crack in the relationship between Mauricio and PK and Dorit and Kyle. Because obviously Mauricio burned PK, just like he allegedly burned Rick Hilton by walking out, not giving a notice, sending an email as his last day, taking other real estate agents with him. Allegedly, Mauricio and Rick had a gentleman's deal. They weren't going to steal each other's clients. Allegedly, Mauricio was taking clients as well. And now we see another business situation between PK. Sorry about that. And then we see another situation with PK and Dorit and Mauricio and Kyle, and I think that they had a bad business fallout is what I think happened. I think that PK and Mauricio were going to do a show together, and I don't know if Mauricio burned him like he burned Rick. It's possible. People were even referencing that on the Buying the Beverly Hills. They were talking about how it was like Mauricio signed for this show and the girls didn't even know about it. Talking about selling Farrah's home without her really knowing about it. And they said like it was confirmation that what Kim Richards has been saying all these years, like, Kyle, you stole my house, it's probably true because of the way they've seen Mauricio making business moves with the women, his stepdaughter, Farrah, and the other girls, right? A little bit of backstory about Farrah. Farrah is not Mauricio's blood daughter. Farrah's dad is a doctor, and Kyle and him were married for like 3 or 4 years, I think. They're very young. I want to say Kyle was like 19 or 20 when they got married. And of course, it sadly ended in divorce. And she was with Mauricio and they got married and they had 3 more children. Izzy says, yep, Dorito walking the line has risked her full-time position. She doesn't have anything for a story. Exactly. Jojo said he did take clients. Is Rena gone? I don't think we know if Rena's gone yet. That's what I think. I think that's what they're going to use the next couple of months, executives and producers, and figure out what they want to do next, because it's either Kathy or Rena. So they have to decide what direction do they want to move, because if they bring Kathy back, then Kyle's got to be ready to clear up family problems, right? They can't just go back and brush it under the rug and start filming again. There's no possible way that will happen. We also have to consider, what is Kathy Hilton going to ask from Bravo, as in money wise? Lisa's coming up off of a 5-year contract. So we don't know if she got paid more money, if she had a set rate, whatever the case was, but it'll probably will have to do, I think, a lot with negotiations as well, because we know that Kathy was asking for so much money last season that she came in late. She came in halfway into the season because she had been negotiating her contract so harshly. She wanted paid more, even though she was a friend role, which we don't see that a lot. Typically, the friend roles don't get paid very much at all. So I think that there's a lot of negotiations to happen. And sometimes it's really not about who execs want and producers want or what direction they want it to go. It really comes down to the almighty dollar and what people are, willing to work for. And from what we see from Lisa and what we know from Kathy being a millionaire 10 times over again, Kathy she said herself, she doesn't want to film full time. It's a lot of work. She's not used to people saying you got to be here to do this and this. She's just not used to that type of thing. And to start doing it full time at 60 some years old, with a camera on you, and nobody's going to say, yeah, do that, Kathy. You need to film full time. But I still think Kathy wants to be paid, more for her name, if you will. And maybe she's right and maybe she's wrong, but I think that it's going to come down to who they can negotiate the best contract with, they can get the most drama from, and then I think they will work around that. Because here's the thing, if they get rid of Lisa, she has a very important role, just like the US Weekly magazine said, that she's the antagonist on the show. She has a very important role. And so they have to really consider, if she's not coming back, how are they going to make that up? Because they can't, they can't count on, who are they going to count on? We know Crystal, she might not even come back. And we got Garcelle and Sutton and Kyle, a little shaky, and Dorit, a little shaky. And Cherie Zampino, we don't even know what happened to her. It's just so crazy. That's what I'm saying. If they get rid of Lisa, they can even find a housewife to put on there as a friend of, that people get interested, that has anything interesting. People at first were really rooting for Cherie Zampino, and then that post came out about her and the bags and then the Cash App, and we don't really see her anymore. So it's like, come on, Bravo. We can't trust you to get rid of Lisa Rinna and replace her, because you can't even bring any new life to the show without it being like a complete mess. What are you doing? They did it in New Jersey when they brought Tiki Barber's wife on, remember? They did it in Potomac with Escala. Is that how you say her name? I don't mean to say it the wrong way. But we got to talk about Potomac, guys, because there's a lot going on in Potomac, okay? Listen. Candace has been crazy on the Twitter. We know that she gets that way on Twitter. Her and Ashley reconciled for one short episode we saw, and now things have gone south at the burn session that Wendy was hosting. Before I get into that, though, guys, I want to tell you guys about this account on Instagram. You should go follow it, even though if you're like, you love the Gorgas, just, it's still good to see what's going on. This account is Love Gabriella. They were on Twitter. I forget the name. It was something like at Melissa's Big Nose, maybe. And they went to Instagram, and Margaret got furious at something that they posted. And they started going back and forth in the DMs. And so now she is on Instagram full time. Her account is Love Gabriella, but she's always really posting really great clips of old New Jersey housewives, and I love it. I mean, they're really good. So I just think that you guys should maybe take a look at her. Also, the housewives and Chit Chat, love her. She was on my panel with Andy, the real Andy of Beverly Hills. I love her. She has really great info too. Okay, so Robin walking up on somebody, we have to talk about that. That's one of the things I talked about in my live when I wasn't live. Okay. What do you guys think about Robin? Do you think that she was running up on Wendy? Let's think about the situation. Wendy was seated. Wendy never moved from her spot. She never stood up one time. Was CHRIS technically holding Robin back? But was she putting herself as like a wall between Robin and Wendy? She was, and it's not because she was trying to keep Wendy away, because Wendy was just seated in her chair, but Robin was slowly moving closer to Wendy, standing up, yelling. And so CHRIS was pretty much like, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, back up, back up, back up, back up. It's wild though that they would go to this dinner where they're filming and they know all of this is filmed, and Robin and Wendy start to get into it, right? And Robin actually calls CHRIS and they FaceTime, and she basically lies. Do you guys think that was a lie? Like that CHRIS was like, oh no, Robin, I didn't have to hold you back. I want to know what you guys thought. Do you guys think that they were blatantly lying, that they didn't did they didn't remember that happened, or that's how it happened, or Robin was yelling and wasn't paying attention? I don't know, guys. But CHRIS put out a whole statement on Instagram how she didn't lie and she didn't have to hold her back, and production's making it look like it's a lie, but it wasn't. And blase skip, right? Some people came out with some other clips, old clips from Real Housewives of Potomac. If you remember, there was a scene where Giselle and Robin blow down at Ashley and Michael's restaurant, and Ashley and Robin get into it, and Robin has got like that finger, and she's, you know, rat tat 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 to Ashley, and Ashley saying, get your finger out my face, get your finger out my face, get your finger out of my face. And then someone also brought up the argument between Monique and Robin with the umbrella. Do you guys remember that situation? So production doesn't have to really make Robin look bad. People have, you know, we're all historians at heart, and we all have a great memory. So these things, you know, they come to us. And she also goes to meet a female attorney as it pertains to a prenup. A little bit of backstory about Robin and Juan. We know they were married, they were together. He was like big time basketball. And she has a really funny Kim Kardashian story. If you guys have never heard it, she tells it on their podcast. Robin was running in the circles of people that had money, even though Kim didn't have money at that time. She was just getting on with Ray J. And Robin ends up hooking up with the best friend, and somehow the best friend spends all of their money, right? They end up getting divorced. Now they're getting back together. And we all know that Juan is like coaching basketball, but we don't know a lot about it. He doesn't film there wherever he's working. He does film the conversation with Robin about the prenup, but it doesn't go well. And then she goes to the attorney and she expresses concerns about a couple of her businesses, because she does have the hat business, which has been super lucrative. She even spoke about how it helped her pay back that $90,000 in back taxes that allegedly, well, the federal government said she owed, and they were able to get that paid off and then move forward with building their new home, which they are now filming, and people are talking about that. This would have been a great year. I think DJ Ricky's this would be a great year for Robin and Juan to have gotten married. It would have been this season. I think they really missed the boat here, and I don't know if they're going to get a second round next season. They may or may not, but I would encourage you guys to go back and watch a clip I posted on my Instagram of Andy Cohen asking Robin about, it was like a virtual question. They wanted to know about Robin and Juan getting married, and she kind of was like, oh, like, you're gonna have to watch this season. And Andy was like, this season? You guys will get married this season? And she's like, well, you know what I mean, Andy. And Andy was like, just kind of shook his head, right? And also I want to remind you guys that whenever Juan and Robin got engaged at the end of the season, I think it would have been Wendy's first season. Wendy was cheering the loudest for Robin. Okay. She was cheering the loudest for Robin when Juan asked Robin to marry him again. And so I just kind of feel bad that Robin is going so hard at Wendy, because Robin is going hard at Wendy. And then you have, hi, Karma. I didn't know I wasn't live. I'm just starting to use a new streaming service. So the whole time that you guys were commenting, I thought I was live until you said that you were leaving the chat. And I was like, wait, why are you leaving the chat? And then I realized I wasn't live. So I apologize, Karma. Thank you for joining again today. I also saw Make It Make Sense was in the chat. So you guys should definitely go follow that account on Instagram and YouTube as well. And then let's talk a little bit about Mia. Mia. Is she forgetting her own storyline? We cannot talk about her medical issues. That's like something that you can't really discuss people's medical issues. Even if they put it on Instagram, you can't really discuss it. So we'll just leave it where it's at and just wish her like health and happiness, of course. However, we can talk about the fact that she told us originally she met G in a strip club. Remember, a high-end strip club. She was wearing a ball gown and serving lobster. Anyone, if that's not what you heard, please comment and correct me, right? Now we're hearing that he was a happily married man. In Miami they met, but he must have not been that happy. She tells a story about them like getting it on the beach and everyone's watching. And she said, I knew everyone was watching. And she said she did everything but PUSSY, a pussy pop handstand. That's what she said. I was like, oh my. And now all the viewers want to know, like, what is G's story here? Was he married and visited Miami and she worked in a strip club and that's how they met? There's a lot of confusion with this story, a lot of confusion. And people are kind of looking at each other like, what is she talking about? Then she tells us, of course, that Chris was staring at her the night of Karen's party, right? She's talking about how Chris is staring at her. Production goes back, uses a clip from that night. Mia's like ordering a drink and Chris is like on his phone. He is not paying any attention to me at all. Candace tweets and says that thank you to Mia for messaging me and telling you, apologizing for lying about Chris at Karen's party. I really appreciate that. And Mia responded and said that basically Chris was staring at her, even though production tried to make it look like she wasn't. Even though Chris was not staring at Mia. Mia is gorgeous. She's beautiful, right? So I think that she probably is used to people staring at her a lot. But like Chris has been doing the show for a long time. Chris is not a stupid man. He's not a stupid man, guys. I mean, all men are kind of, I'm just joking, but I just think that Chris has been doing the show long enough. He knows there's always cameras on him. He knows somebody's always watching and somebody is always listening, and he's mindful of that. Mia, not so much at all. Now in real time, we're seeing everything goes south with G's business, allegedly. Family cutting him off. Mia went on Instagram and did a whole thing about how G turned 70 years old, and when he turned 70, his son took the business from him and they were going to start over. They did it before, they'll do it again. And this is where it gets, do you guys remember when Robin posted a DM that she had gotten from somebody upset about the whole Wendy situation? Mia went on and commented and said, oh, that's Wendy's cousin. Like basically saying, well, she could have been saying it was Wendy's cousin, but I don't think she really meant that the person was Wendy's cousin. She was just trying to say that, because when Mia made her post about G and his family taking the business from him, somebody went on there and was like talking about it, and they were basically, it was G's brother's cousin, something along those lines. It was like family, and so people were saying that, and she really came on and let Mia have it and say that Mia was lying and that the whole post was a lie, and that was not the case. And basically they were kind of going back and forth in the comments, but not for very long, because of course Mia got rid of those comments. She didn't want people reading it. Now allegedly she's opening up another business, but just wondering what we think the kind of financial hit something like that would take. Like, we don't really know a lot about their business. We know that she does work in physical therapy, which I'm sure can be very, very lucrative if you own a lot of them. We know that they are renting their home, which there's nothing wrong with renting homes. But when you have people that are multi-millionaires, it puts a question mark because of the fact that if they have the money, then they have the credit, then it's not a big deal for them to take a home loan and make a monthly payment and establish some kind of like something instead of just paying rent every month. So it just seemed very odd to say like that they're renting in Potomac and that she did like a $70,000 renovation on the home that they're renting. To me, that seems a little, that doesn't seem right to me. Just doesn't. And people, of course, are talking about Giselle's home, and they're talking about her ankles. Production has shown us, I don't know, like 3 or 4 different times Giselle's ankles, and that's, of course, referencing Candace's. She did a confessional, and she said, "Not today, knees and ankles." Carmen said, "I heard Giselle and Robin are doing the reboot of The Bodyguard. Robin is Kevin, and Giselle is Whitney." Oh, my Lord. They are doing their podcast, though. She said that's one of her businesses that she doesn't want, to be in jeopardy if she marries Juan. Now, here's another tweet from Candace. She said, "I would also like to record to reflect that I received a text message about foreheads," which is Ashley. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Who is Forehead? Why does Candace call Ashley Forehead?" She's been calling Ashley Forehead forever. Just making fun of it, basically saying that Ashley has a big forehead. She says, "I received a text about foreheads," and then she uses the R word. She says, I don't even know if I can say the R word, but then she puts a Y on it. So foreheads as husband on camera. "The camera was on me while I was preparing to walk out of my room, and my friend sent me the text that I later showed her. If I had received the text off camera," she says that she basically took Ashley aside, and Ashley does not give her the same courtesy. Ashley announces it at the burn dinner with cameras, trying to get Candace's reaction, of course. And I do feel like in this scene, we're going to see Ashley be a little bit vindictive here. I'm not excited for that because I really liked Ashley, and I didn't want to think that she held on to made plays like that behind Candace's back, because they do know each other from the pageant world. But I think that Candace not necessarily understanding like what it's like to have a kid and a baby daddy or a husband or ex-husband. I think that if Ashley and Michael didn't have any children and they were just getting divorced, Ashley wouldn't care if Candace called Michael, the R word. But because they have 2 children together and she has 2 sons, I think that's where Ashley gets a little bit infuriated with Candace and her comments, because it's disrespectful to her sons. They carry the last name, etc., etc. And then this is the tweet I was telling you guys about. Candace says, "Let the record record that Mia admitted last week she was lying. She also texted me and apologized for lying. Happy to produce the receipts." Mia's a mess because she's getting to the point where we can't believe anything that she really says, because everything seems to be like she's just going with the flow until somebody calls her out. She's done that quite a few times. That's a little bit of a red flag to me, and I don't know what producers are doing. Is it comic relief? I don't know. Then Candace also texts, "Michael is a predator. These are facts." See what other comment I want to tell you guys about. Oh, Candace says in her confessional, "I should have kept my good eye on that bulbous ass forehead, bitch. I knew she was no good." Ashley, "Do you want to turn a blind eye? If that's the case, just say so." Candace, "Well, you would know." Candace, that's when Candace says, "Let the record reflect that Mia admitted about lying." So I think that people are proud of Candace. I, for one, am proud of the way that Candace had handled the situation better than she has in any other situation. When Giselle, that whole thing, she got up, walked away, talked to a producer, left the entire situation. She's staying very calm in this situation because she knows they are poking her, because Candace has already been in one physical altercation sorry, low battery, with Monique, and that almost cost her her job. But let us not forget the altercation that Ashley and her were in when they were in Candace's home, when Ashley said, "This isn't your house, this is your mama's house," and Candace grabbed a knife and Chris had to hold her back. Okay, so I think that the girls know that, and they know that they just need her to lose it like one good time, and she'll be done. She'll be done. She'll take all the heat. She'll, they can just go along for another season. And people will be examining Chris because of all of the allegations. And if she goes, a little bit crazy or wild, what have you, then they'll be done with the show. But not the case, I don't think, because guys, we know that Real Housewives of Atlanta ladies were out and about supporting Miss Candace, which I really love. That's why I love Atlanta. They were at her live show. They were filming there, and they were, just saying what an amazing time they were having, and how great the show was. So really, really love that about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I would love it if the other franchises would take some notes on how the other ladies do it, because they really have a lot of camaraderie and they really try to support women. So love that. We talked about Boy George, we talked about Mia, and then also I wanted to talk about Dolores and Margaret for Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip 3. Guys, the list of people, have you heard it? Do you want me to tell it to you? We have the entire cast of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Part 3, which will be coming from, of course, Peacock. And I want to know what you guys think when I give you this list here. But of course, coming from New Jersey, we're going to have Dolores and Margaret. What do you guys think? Do you want to see them on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip? They would have been my first choice coming out of New Jersey. That's just my opinion. I think that Dolores seemed to be really getting a lot of gigs these days. Ever since she got with the boyfriend, she's getting a lot of gigs. She did the Caroline thing, which allegedly was offered to Teresa first, and then she took it. But and then she's also going to be doing the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip with Margaret. So that's interesting, right? We also saw Kris Kardashian Jenner. Her birthday party was last week, maybe. Wanted to also let you guys know that we saw lots and lots of footage, clips, and photos that included pictures of Kathy and Kris and Faye Resnick and the girls who were all dressed up as Kris Jenner Kardashian, all over online. So they were really letting us know that Kathy is their favorite sister and that they will hang out with Kathy any day over Kyle, and that Kathy was invited to the intimate birthday party of Kris, where it was only like her daughters, the kids, maybe the kids weren't even there, maybe just the daughters, their spouses, Kathy and Faye. So I think that they were really she's really like, don't make me pull out my friend list, because I got a long list of friends, and Kris Jenner is one of them. And it's also kind of showing us that she is not mad about the whole 818 thing, right? Because we didn't know, considering Kathy and Kris are friends, if Kris would be upset that Kathy was upset that Lisa ordered Kendall Jenner's tequila, basically. Okay, list of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Real Housewives, the OC, we're going to be getting Gina and Emily. I think we might as well just put this one in the trash. I feel like they do this sometimes because they have to give the other ladies a chance. So they're like, okay, we'll just give all of the people that we have in IOU to season 3 now. So then we're going to have Dolores and Margaret, Garcelle and Sutton, Robin and Ashley. And they're going to be in Hong Kong. So, and that's about it. Besides that, Hong Kong in the production for, I'm sorry, it'll be the 4th, actually. The 4th one. So. And that's it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, and they were saying karaoke. Fake drink setup. It was all kind of set up. It looked that way. I thought so too. Yep, and Bravo knew it. There were people talking about it being a tequila gold that should have been like yellow, but what we saw was actually white in the glass. So they were saying that it was possible. I don't know who said this, if it was Dana, that production had like taken the bottle and just used it for that scene and put water in it. Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you guys have a great day and make sure you answer that, and we will talk soon.